Hey, welcome back to Karen's Papercraft. Thank you very much for watching. Wat leuk dat je weer kijkt. Dankjewel. Today's card is for the Stampin' Insta Hop, and the theme was the 23-25 in colours. And you know what? I've used them all. It's a card for a man, and I've used only ink and paper. Well, okay, and a die for the dots. If you'd like to find out how I've created this look, come and join me. Right, let us start by taking a look at the supplies that I've used. The dots and spots die to make a mask with. I've used the Biggest Wish stamp set. I'm going to use a B block and an I block. I need a black Stampin' Right marker, a ruler, and I'm going to use all the 23-25 in colours. Now these are the new ones for this year, and they will stay with us for 2 years. And these are not necessarily meant to go together, but I do think that with these colours you can. And if I'm honest, the first time I saw them I was not impressed, but after playing around with them a bit, I have come to love them. There's Moody Mauve, Wild Wheat, which is almost like gold, really gorgeous, Pebbled Path, a lovely grey, Boho Blue, a very soft blue, and Copper Clay, which is a really beautiful clay brownish colour. As I said, these are not necessarily meant to be used together, but they do complement all the other 40 Stampin' Up! Standard colours, and by introducing those colours every 2 years, and next year we get another 5 new ones, and then they will stay for 2 years, so they rotate every time. And by using these extra colours every now and then, Stampin' Up! Is able to stay on trend even much more. We've just had a colour refresh where some of the basic colours have been removed and others introduced, but those colours stay, well, about 5 years, I suppose it is. So, cardstock. I've taken Boho Blue for my card base, and I'll show you the dimensions, and a piece of basic white as well. First I'm going to cut this cardstock, and I need a piece which is 10.5 by 5, so I'll 5.25, sorry, so 10.5 and then 5.25. It's easier if I close the arm first, so 5.25, there we go. And then I'm going to score this at 5.25 with a long side top, as you can see. And then I'm going to cut a 5 by 5 piece of basic white. That I'm going to, with the stamping on, this is going to be the mat on top of the card. So 5 in centimetres. Oh dear, I forgot to tell you, didn't I? Let me just check my notes, and I'll get the card in. The card base, I mean. In centimetres, this is 26.8 by 13.4 centimetres, and you score this at 13.4 centimetres. And while I'm doing that, I can fold my card. And then the basic white mat is 12.7 by 12.7 centimetres. And I'm going to continue first with the division of the stamping. Where's my card to show you? There we go. If you're not confident, you can start out with pencil lines, but I've discovered that it works with the Stampin' Right marker in one go anyway. I'm going to put this on my grid paper, and I'm going to make stretches along the card which are 1.25 inch. That is, let me just check, put something on top of that. 3.2 centimetres. I put my masks on top of that. So I'm putting this on the grid paper, and then with a ruler, here I've put it at the 1.25 inch mark, and here I can use this line in the middle to draw my lines. The Stampin' Right marker has 2 points. There's a normal point to write with, and there's almost kind of like a brush tip, but this is too wide, so I'm using the pointy one, and it's easy to distinguish them because the brush tip has a wider band there and the other one has the narrow band, obviously. So with my ruler along the line on the grid paper, I'm going to draw my lines and go over them a couple of times to get a nice inking. Then you rotate, again you put it at the 1 1/4 inch, and then you draw a line, but you just make it a bit shorter, so from there to there, and you go around doing that. If you find it helpful, you could even put a little mark on your grid paper there, so that you know immediately where the 1 1/4 inch mark is. Then I'm going to start with that longest strip and I'm going to do the stamping. First I'm putting excuse me, the stamps on the block. I want happy, and I'll try to get it on as straight as I can. That makes stamping easier. Put it down a bit so I don't have to put my head in the camera. Okay, and birthday. This card is for a man, as I said in the introduction, and I always find it difficult to make cards for men, but I do like this one. Right, I'm going to stamp in Pebbled Path first, and I'm going to do the stamping all around. For the last one I'm going to mask, so I've put a post-it note on those marker lines, and then I'm going to use my wild wheat and stamp the happy birthday. But I'm going to, as you can see, pretend that it's not completely there, so I just stamp on either side of the space that I have left. Alright, and then for the middle bit I'm going to do some marking as well. Masking, I meant to say. Will this work? No, it needs to be a bit lower, so I'm putting it on top of the marked lines, and that one and that one. You can see I've used these before. And I'm going to use the mask that I've made, and I made it from a piece of window sheet. Here it is, and I used the Dots and Spots die. Can I show you something dark underneath? Probably looks better. No, it doesn't really, does it? Perhaps my cardstock. So I've die cut in the window sheet just once, and I wouldn't do it more than once actually, because I don't know how the die would stand up to the window sheet. Obviously a die is meant for paper, but I'm going to you could make a paper mask, but I just find it more convenient to use this plastic mask. I'm going to secure it. So as I was saying, don't risk your die. If you prefer not to risk it, you could definitely make a mask out of some cardstock and do your blending as well. I'm going to use a blending brush and my last colour, which is Copper Clay. And I'll show you in a minute how I clean my mask. So you pick up some ink, and the brush picks up quite a lot of ink, so depending on how dark or how light you want it to be, I just tend to take away some of the colour before I do the blending, otherwise it will be too dark, and I didn't like that for the middle of the card. You can always go over it again should you think, this is not, see, make it darker, but if you start out too dark you can't change it anymore. Alright, that's the last colour. I'll put my brush over there and I'll show you how I clean this. I usually keep an old piece of paper handy, and you can see here where the ink is, so you just take your chamois and wipe it clean. And when you're finished you can hold this under the tap and then you can use it the next time, and I can take away this sticky bit. It's really sticky, this is a painter's tape, but it does help you to secure your mask. Okay, so now all I have to do, stray piece of paper, all I'm going to do now is remove all this masking. You could use the masking paper as well if you wanted to. I just use these post-it notes, and you can stick these onto the card, and I'll just hang on. Okay, I can stick this on. I'm going to show you one that I did before. There I thought it might be nice to put the dots behind the letters, but if I'm honest, I like this better. So I'm just going to stick it onto the card. Karen's approved method, floating glue. I put either some Seal or Seal Plus in the middle, and then I'm putting the liquid glue all around it. Just a bit more there. I think this bottle is nearly finished. Hold it up to the light. Yep, there's not much left in there. I do seem to go through lots of bottles. Okay, I want that one on the top, and you see this can still be moved a bit until I position it right, and then I press down in the middle, and then it is adhered. I like it. I hope you like it too. And that's it for today. Through my Instagram you can see what the other hoppers have made. Just hop from one to the next and see what they've made with the 23-25 in colours. Thank you very much for watching. Dankjewel voor het kijken and see you next time. Bye bye, tot ziens.